Hello, this is Gerald Vamas. I'm busy learning Chinese, and some of the words really don't stick with me, and I have really trouble of remembering how you pronounce it. And sometimes also when I see the characters, they don't immediately find a match. So I have to do some effort before I can really remember it well. And here in this video, I will tell you how I do that by using my own theory about positions in time and space, because each letter has a certain position and helps me to guide me also to understand also foreign languages like Chinese, which I'm learning at this point, and the characters as well. They have also the same kind of references that this theory has, and that is helpful. I will show you the results of what helps me to remember the four seasons, and I will start with, of course, the spring or the springtime, which is chūn-jì. And let's see where I have an association, where I have something to grasp upon, and how I remember that. And maybe it will help you as well, or you see the same thing that you may already know beforehand, a little bit better or different. And my own background is based upon orientations in time of space. Each set of letters is based upon an order which builds up, and it builds up like it is as if it is about balance in our orientations of where each letter is a definition, like numbers are, like colors are, in a certain balance, always in the same way. 9 letters about stable focuses where you only have one focus. Another set of letters of the normal vowels that you hear then, because this is not about Chinese but about how it is pronounced. A couple of other letters all need the timing process also, that you see, okay, it goes from here to here, so your focus is a little bit wider than just one point. You need 2 points, or you need the whole background setting and resetting and reorientation, so that you know what to do with it if the things are not immediately available. The green part, that's where the focus of each Chinese character lies. Namely, there's a vision behind it. That's why it is a square. The square is this working field. This working field is at 2 places. It's at a timing concept. That concept in the 4 seasons says, okay, I have to do something first. I have to find the balance, this kind of balance, and then I know how to perform. We see what is needed. And then I can use this as a working frame also then from a stabilized focus then as well, after having performed the right idea and right balance. And this is also describing the balance that you need to understand what you need to do to understand the word. And you have spring, chūn-jì, is pronounced like that, and is written down like this. And you can see it, this is in the field of the timing, so there is all about a certain timing. What is a timing about? First we go to G, the element that describes actually that we are talking about elements. And so the G itself, if you look it up in a book, you see, okay, it's about the season of the last month of a season, or the 4th of young brothers, or a classifier, also for seasonal crop yields, all kind of measure word. Here it measures us actually the 4 elements. And you can recognize some of the characters there. The top character is he, which is, yeah, you see the growth process. There's something, and you need the time somewhere. It is just let us associate as something that grows, like grain, for instance. And then the character underneath, which is really okay, I have that in the next frame, which is really about the application of what is growing there, like the seed, but it can also be a lot of other things. But in this case, you can see it's about the grain and the seed. So where shall I put the grain? Where shall I put the growth process? It's there in the four elements. It's that kind of thinking in the behind it that is needed to associate the right attitude that you need to have to understand the characters and to understand how you have to behave to them. The last part is actually saying, okay, we're talking about a growth process within the four seasons, and there's a certain moment where it can have a seed. You can do something with it. In a way, you have this time process. You take some time for it. You have the frame of the horizon where you say, okay, here I will have the grain that is growing there, and when will this grain be able to grow there? When it really applies to the whole natural behaviorisms of adaptation to the circumstances, and that is the two arrows that are about transformation. You have a ground, you put a grain in the ground, and it finds its ground. It finds the seed finds a place where it can start to grow and to start to do, where you can start to do something. That's basically how the elements and the four elements work. You have a setting in a certain position in the yearly cycle, in which you have to act accordingly to the season to be fruitful at that point in the circumstances you have in that point. There are four kinds of circumstances, and you have to apply to them correctly to be fruitful at that moment. That's why these behaviorisms that are required are actually simply describing what is needed to be fruitful. So you have these four seasons. You have the summer, harvest, winter, and spring, which you can recognize in all the characters as well. So within this season and cycle of growth, you can find a seeding and a feeding and a prosperous result. So let's look now to the other character, chūn. The underneath symbol, it does also have characters, is actually the sun, which is basically in our vision, it's like a circle with a point in it where it starts and where you can start all the cycles from it. But in the characters of the Chinese characters, it's not just that center point where everything starts from, it's a center point within that year cycle. So this year cycle is that square where you work it. It's your working field. That's the working field. It's not even in the sun becomes a working field that is applying itself towards where we live on Earth, in the square of the Earth, where the four seasons are. That's why there are no circles in all the Chinese characters. The circles become squares because they come a timed frame in which you can really make an order. In the circle you cannot do that. It's just a center on its own. In the square you have that order. You can make an order. You can see immediately where you are in the time frame, in a time frame, in the year cycle of the sun. And the top symbol of that is you have this opening there already, but you can also see, so you have the rising sun in a way. So just on the horizon, it's coming up. And you have the opening situation. It is opening up this whole situation in the cycle of seasons. And the layer on top there is reflecting already where you go to. That's that layer of the summer, of the highlight, where you will go to. It will open itself towards the position of summer, towards that highlight. And now with the letters to it, I will put them in the right position. You had these three categories, the ones of the underlying space, the in-between timings, and the background of context. Each of these letters that are pronounced or that are written down in the pinyin script that describes these letters, what is the essence of them, you can have them in that order. I have the right order there, I have the C at the right position in the right size, the smallest size in space. I have the H at the background which I could have had smaller as well, but it's in the background, so I have within 3 positions I have to choose the right position. Okay, I have the H, and then the U is there as well, a little bit smaller, that's the space of U, and then I have the N as the last one. The letters in the right positions to distinct them well. Now, okay, now I have to go to what it means. But first I have this, in the background you have this one, so this one you understand already. It's a character, the sun, and then the conditions opening up towards, summer, of course. Combined, then you have the chūn. The e is just slightly in the background, already tells you that we have a timing frame in the background. So the C is in my theory, it is about estimating. It's an estimating position because it's there in the system where it is. You have a little bit doubts, or where am I? But I still start. I have to find the starting points, but it's a bit doubtful where I have to start. So I have to look a bit for where shall I start. The H in the background is all that works well in the background in general. The U is always about what is in development, so the things that are in development, and N is also always about taking something out at the right moment, at the right time, when it can become useful. So how do I have to translate it into normal English? You already understand well, of course, what you already had in the character. The sounds that are associated it should express the same thing, like the rising conditions from the sun towards that highlight should be there as well. So you have this C, estimating position of the things that are still in development and that actually also are becoming useful. And we have a prosperous context in the background. It becomes useful, it becomes more prosperous. That's what our attention goes to. There's something growing here. And that's in fact enough to understand the character, which is related with spring. And I'll go to the other seasons in the next video. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.